Hello, lovelies. Not a lot of repeatable activity on the channel this past week for whatever reason. But yeah, not helped by me having to give a whole bunch of people the hoof. So let's see, housekeeping. A lot less pain, able to move around a lot more. Very, very gradually starting to lose some of the weight from various medical side effects and being unable to move very much, so that's very welcome. I'm not used to being a heifer, so however gradual, that is much appreciated. Hooray for modern medicine, eventually. So yeah, doing better. What else has been going on? Projects wise, stuff is still stalled while I wait for things to shake out, but hopefully we'll have something out soon on the machinations sort of boosterism effort that we've got going on. But yeah, everything else is still stalled right now while I wait for the results of that and while I do some freelance work, which I do less of these days through choice, but an opportunity came up to work on a project that I really want to work on. So I am grasping that opportunity. But also a bunch of stuff just landed in my lap, which is kind of all hands to the pump sort of thing going on. Speaking of pumping things, Tabletopless is back on tonight, barring some last minute issues. There might be thunderstorms here, so I might get knocked offline, but we shall see. They've been more robust lately. You can find links, which I must warn you are not safe for work, at criticalhole.com, which is a redirect that will take you to all of our socials and the main website and all of the stars, guest stars, etc. Let's see, what else? It's also T-shirt show tonight. T-shirted Historian is the channel if you want to go and look it up. And then it's still Fabula Ultima on Sunday. So yes, I have a smorgasbord of stuff this weekend. Hopefully I have a brain left. I did have to swing the banhammer this week, which I never like to do, but there's a lot of racism and xenophobia and apologia for what is now unmistakably fascism going on, and you are free to say that shit elsewhere. You are not free to bring it into my house and cause all sorts of problems. What's going on in various places in the world right now is a test of your character and perhaps more importantly your credulity and how far you will go to excuse the inexcusable. And I'm very disappointed in some of you. We'll see how that all shakes out, but yeah. Alright, on to the few other comments. On the old DCC review, Manny Hulin says, agreed on the novelty dice. If you have 7 dice, just build your game with those. Inventing the pointless as a cash grab seems, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not buying the new weird dice, and I'm thinking about starting a political party about it. Sips tea. In DCC, I think it is less egregious. The novelty dice, it is kind of their thing, but it does also allow you to expand the dice ladder in a way that is more natural than that leap from D12 to D20. And you know, D30s have a reason to exist, I suppose. I'm surprised we don't have a game that's based on like a D60, if such a thing exists or is possible. I can't remember offhand at the moment. I was working late. Because 60 is super divisible by other numbers, which makes it really, really useful for all sorts of things, particularly in gaming or in card games. And yet we have a 52 card deck, not a 60 card deck. Yeah. Worth thinking about. Anyway, I don't think the DCC dice are as egregious for that reason, and also because they're marked numerically. Whereas a lot of novelty dice have these special little sigils and things on them, so when the company winds up or the game goes out of stock, you can't get the dice anymore. And the game becomes much less playable. On the archetypes video, which had some interesting feedback, Beetlejuice says, if true, there are 7 types of stories, and I guess a limited number of ways we can use dice. We probably already made most of the TTRPGs, and we're on the long tail. To an extent, that's true. Occasionally someone comes up with something new or semi-new, or repackages an old thing in a new and interesting way, but that doesn't happen all the time, by any means. But yeah, it's probably a limited amount of ways we can approach this stuff. But then there's also cards, or chits, or rock, paper, scissors, or social media likes, or yeah, you can make mechanics out of just about anything if you want. On with more comments there. Salsa Doom says, I think motivation is important when subverting an archetype. Does it arise organically with the purpose of making the game or story more exciting and fun? Or is it because you have a particular axe to grind or critics to impress? And yeah, I think that's true. Why you do something is important. The way you go about it is important. Are you doing it just because to be cool or whatever, or is there a point there? And typically subverting an archetype is kind of the point of the story in which you do it, or should be, because it should be such a weird sort of event that becomes the focus of the story. When it's just kind of thrown away, that doesn't seem to make a great deal of sense to me as a motivation to do it. You shouldn't do it like that. Panic Satanic says, the filmmaker or author or blogger, etc., who reflexively and usually shallowly twists every archetype and subverts every expectation, lest he be accused of being conventional. What's the name of that archetype? To which Paul Berry suggested the subverter of expectations, the 5th Chaos God. To me, it sounds more like the repairer of reputations from the King in Yellow cycle, and in that sense it's certainly more of a Cthulhuoid entity that maybe feeds on the suffering when someone screws up a much loved piece of art or media. On the Wonder Home review, which weirdly seems to pick up random comments a lot lately, Myokan Yakionigiri, or Moshken, I don't know, some weeb, says, this video was very funny. Thank you for the belly laughs. I think you got to get some nicer friends, dude. I'm worried about you. Don't worry about me, just don't send me games like Wander Home to review ever again. Because, yeah, it's barely a game. And the whole thing seemed designed to cause me physical pain. On the 1000 Dead Worlds playthrough, Xiaoke says, I was looking for some Across 1000 Dead Worlds reviews first, and now an actual play. This is perfect. I get high praise periodically, but not enough for me to do more solo plays to the same kind of production standard and so on that I did there. I enjoyed it, but it's a great deal of effort. It's not something I could sustain at my usual output, though the high artistic praise that people give my efforts on the 1000 Dead Worlds playthroughs do make it somewhat tempting. sometimes. Zang. I have a fairly mellow Discord if you want to join us there for a bit of conversation and debate. We have people from all over, really, and for the most part it's fairly good-natured and peaceful. As long as you come in that kind of spirit, you'll be fine.